in the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What a pity. Tomorrow never certain. What dwells behind the curtain? The face of evil smirking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, could either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons could breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Okay. Now, so we looked at how you were able to go, make certain moves, ended up in Poland using YouTube as a kind of a way of venting, talking about the community. The community is a priority thing, it seems. It's like that has always been an interest. You ended up with that, saying that that's always been a popular topic of yours, right? So, or yes. Interest of yours. So it's natural that, okay, you're going to end up, if you're on YouTube, you're probably going to end up in the Pan-African space as well, right?
Yeah.
So, but then you actually going to Africa was a step. And then also, yes, you mentioned before, how do you then go from just going there to seeing, okay, there are business opportunities here as well? Because the whole thing here is to kind of see about real-time critical thinking skills. In other words, responsibility rather than blame. In other words, the whole shout out to you. The white man helped me. The white man holding back my internet. The white man stole my bus pass, or whatever it is that's holding you back. How to maybe you say that, maybe you don't say that, but how to, in spite of that, keep on moving. So how did you see opportunities in Africa that's such that you're like, okay, I'm not just gonna go there and be like, oh, I went, but I'm gonna plant some roots there, plant some seeds, water it over here, water it over there, so on and so forth.
Yeah. So I would say quite naturally, I'm a person that, even if it's on a small scale, I'm a person that's a builder. I might not be the best person at it, but I'm that kind of person. And when I went to Uganda the first time, it was more or less to see, what the experience was, if I liked it. And then what happened was that Sudir Rupiella, who's the richest man in Uganda, he made a statement one time and said, either Africa is in your blood or it's not. And when I came back from my first experience in Uganda, I kept calling me back. And one of the things about Uganda is I kept seeing people who look like people in my neighborhood. I kept seeing the same mechanisms, how people walk and how they act and stuff. I felt, even though I didn't understand what they were saying, I knew where I was at. I felt comfortable where I was at. And the second trip was a deciding trip for me, because I wanted to know, like, if I liked it again, then I would always come back. And I did. I went to South Africa in June of 2018, and I liked Johannesburg a whole lot. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. But the third time I came back was when I went to Joburg again. I was dating some lady out there, and then I was out there with Woody Maya. And that was a time where I saw Woody Maya set up, and I'm going to talk about that. Woody Maya is probably one of the most popular African YouTuber in sub-Saharan Africa on YouTube. And Dr. Mumbi at that particular time was also rising in popularity in the Pan-African space. And YouTube is not just not just an online business. YouTube is a business, period. And the way that you really get on YouTube is not through a lot of times online consultations, but if I can see how you run your studio, if I see how you run the back end, what does your editors do? What's the day in and day out of, packaging the thumbnails and stuff like that? What equipment are you using? What gimbals are you using? How many extra batteries do you have for this shoot? things like that. What are you using for the, how many XLR cables do you travel with? How many HDMI cables do you travel with? When you start learning the technical side, you can't really get that a lot of times online. But when you see somebody doing it, and when I got to Kenya, I understood that they were much more advanced than me as far as from a technical perspective.
I see.
Like I just had a microphone, USB microphone like this, and then a laptop. But when I pulled up on Woody Mai, he had, so many things. He had an editor. He had, a lot of people that could help him out in the business. And he had a really good system. So from there, I realized like, oh shit, I'm behind, I didn't know about, I knew, but I'm like, okay, listen, well, right now I'm streaming a lot because Ramil will tell you, I used to do all of my damages on like pre-recorded videos or streaming a lot, like we're doing right now. And it's just not the best way to run the channel, but I didn't really infrastructure to run the business. But I found that out then and there that, if I'm gonna be in this business, this is, I need to make some changes to be able to achieve this goal. So when I went to Uganda, I didn't know anybody back at Edit, but I knew somebody in Kenya who actually edits for me now, which is Dr. Mumbi's old editor. And the reason why that happened is because he quit and went to DSTV for a year. DSTV is the biggest cable network in Africa, it's out of South Africa. So he was there for a year. He learned sound, he learned video editing, things like that, a little bit more. He's pretty good. So when he came back, she had already moved on to somebody else. And so the connection was already made because I knew he was very meticulous what he was doing. I said, we'll meet up in Uganda at some point. And so that whole point, we're talking about what kind of stuff we need, what kind of equipment do we need on a day-to-day basis. So he was telling me, here and there stuff. So I was able to understand what we needed to kind of research it. Now, but at the same time, when I was going back to Uganda, Jonita, who's my manager, brought in somebody you might have heard of called Kim the Comic.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Kim the Comic is the guy that's in the Strugglewood. And that was one of our best finds. We had Kim the Comic, there's another guy named Quasi. So we found out two guys. So I have now Dima in Russia. I got him off of Upwork. Okay. So Dima has set up all the templates from my channel, how it should run. Then I had Satati in Kenya. Then I end up getting another guy in Kenya. And then I end up getting, Quasi and Kim the Comic, but I just didn't have the equipment to run everything. I couldn't put it all together. But I had these pieces that if I could feel all of these pieces, I know we had market what we can do. And so it was just the thoughts were just, okay, let's try to connect the dots. Then when I found out that, okay, fiber internet is only in certain parts of the city, that's when I knew that we had to stay in a certain part of the city to do this job all the time. Right. So it was just little things, cutting and coming back, leaving, coming and cutting back, and then being able to have a competitive advantage over everybody. Because you know what? The reality is any business, all businesses come to what is your competitive advantage over somebody else? And that's all I'm looking for. I don't care if it's a 2% or 3%. If I can get the competitive advantage over you and do something you can do, I know you can't fuck with me. So even if it's not working the money right now, I'm thinking I got the advantage if I can just connect these dots somehow. So Uganda was saying, hey, we're the competitive advantage you need. We're going to keep coming back. So I would stop going to other places like Brazil or I wouldn't go there. I would go back there all the time to get more knowledge about what I was doing, to understand how people think, to understand what I was dealing with, And then every time I started compounding that advantage, and then boom, it all connected last year. But it took like 4 years.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about it is anybody, if you can get a competitive advantage over anybody, it doesn't matter how long it takes you. If you can get it and they don't have it, that's all that you need.
So, and just as you have kind of elucidated right now through this story, you also give these quote unquote gems all the time about the how part and the importance of the how part. You mentioned, okay, how it all works together, how it all goes together, how many extra HDMI cables or 1/4 inch of this or so on and so forth, extra batteries, this, that, and the other. You take the small tripod as well, where you want to be able to switch the cell phone, blah, blah, all kinds of things. the how part is very, very important, right? And you give so let me just let me ask this thing now. It's kind of like when you do this kind of what is the goal?
Mhm.
Is there some kind of advocacy behind your, let's say, Kinganda channel, right? And also in your other channel? So far, you've talked about stress release and venting and the business aspects, the behind the scenes, how it works, and so on and so forth. Is there a project, a charter, if you will, and with certain sets of outcomes that you would like to see out there in the world?
Well, yeah, let me kind of start with Kinganda.
Okay.
Because Kinganda was a channel that I started. I wouldn't say it was a channel that I thought would ever make any money or anything like that. But what I wanted to be able to show is, a lot of African Americans were returning to different places, like Ghana and things like that, or Tanzania. And it was, when they would blog it, it would be very, very selfish. Not to say that it's not selfish, because it's all about you, right? But it's like, here's my experience in Tanzania, or here's my experience in Ghana. And a lot of times it would be a little shaky and stuff like that. But one of the things I wanted to be able to do in Uganda was not only African Americans have access to a platform, but to be able to bring the Black community together worldwide. So if you look at Kinganda, one of the biggest things that we do is we provide marketing for farms. And one of the biggest types of farms that we promote on Kinganda are piggeries. Okay, piggeries, layers, production of poultry. We've done catfish, rabbit, and one of the things that we want to do is we want to be a service with the skill set that we have to people. There are people who have gotten engaged and married from our dating show. We have that going now. SPK Lifestyle. I don't know if you've seen him. He's currently there right now.
Okay,
we wanted there to be able to be more of a country that we felt that had a lot of opportunity, but that people that were Ugandans themselves, that were somewhere else in the world. Shout out to Afropolitan Podcast. I met her because of Kinganda. And then we wanted to be able to, bring the whole Pan-African community around a platform that offered value and not just opinions, or not just something like that, and which you didn't see before. I think we're the only people in the continent that does this. What we do, we try to offer value for what we do. We try to do a really good job at a high level, and I think that we're just going to grow, because there's so many people that are living abroad that don't know about the opportunities in Africa. And also Woody Maya taught me something, because he was trying to change the narrative about Africa in many ways. But I wanted to be a part of that also, but from a different experience. And one of the things that we try to do is we try to bring the business community in. We try to bring the African American community in. We try to bring the British community in, and try to give back to people who have given me so much. And so that's kind of looking at it now. The Manosphere, which was my first love, and it still is. When I came into really running the administration of what you see of the Black Manosphere, right? I didn't start it, but it's safe to say that since 2017, I've been administrating and bringing in the guys that most of them that you see. Me and Obsidian brought in most of them, but most of the guys that are doing very well today have either come through me or have been helped by me in some facet. And it just wasn't a lot of platforms that Black men could come in and be introduced together through a channel. And I believe that's what my channel serves. Obviously, you get money if you're good and your consistent money comes. I get a lot of money now, so it's not even really the whole goal. But seeing Black men become successful, and you see guys email you, because of your value or what you said, it made me change my way. And a lot of Black men, didn't value themselves, didn't value their position in the world. And I think the Black Manosphere aimed to change that. We have the Hall of Game that we were running for some time. I wanted to bring it back. My celebrity junk, I try to do it to get certain messages across and things like that. I think a lot of Black men have met and been united. I mean, because I remember I gave Kevin Samuels his first interview, and then you became a subscriber to him, and then I met you, you know, and it's coming full circle. We all are meeting this community we've been building since 2015. A lot of guys in the professional world, and a lot of Black men just didn't see accountants or attorneys or engineers in our city. We just didn't see that. You know, we didn't have access to Brother Ike, who's an engineer, or Pocket Watching with JT, who's an accountant, or, you know, the lead attorney, or Dennis Furling. Those guys are not available, but in our community we have now, though, Dr. Tiesan Johnson, we have those guys now, and it's amazing. We have guys that are in every facet of the economy, you know, from truck drivers, you know, to healthcare, to guys who are doing things, and it's beautiful, you know. And it was basically just giving Black men the understanding that we're all going through the same thing, and here are some of the solutions. And that's what's made this community so strong. And that's the same concept on Kinganda. It's a lot of problems in Africa, but we're trying to provide the solutions. And, you know, the community solves the problems in anything.
And also, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to this channel. If you have not subscribed before, click the subscribe button, like, subscribe, bell button, all. Also, we come here live every Tuesday, myself and Dr. Thunder, with Getting Ish Done. I appear with Joan. I appear with some other individuals. We talk about being better and doing better. So, O'Shea, when it comes to what you do on YouTube and when it comes to the outcomes that you're trying to see, which we've so far talked about, the competitive advantage, the movement of value, the creation of flow, the utility, and the networks, and so on and so forth. Now, why do you do it? Depend in your heart. What I mean, I'm going to give some context as to the why. In your heart, are you thinking, when it comes to the advocacy part of things, right? When it comes to things that are external from you, are you thinking, okay, I would like to, and I started asking this question recently, and I think it's a good question. I would like to protect the herd, the group, the sheep. I'm a shepherd, I'm a pastor type. Protect them from against the would-be nefarious individuals that are coming trying to attack them. Or are you like, okay, I'm trying to create a space for individuals. I'm for the man, the individual person, and trying to get him to maximize his competitive advantage, and I'm protecting him against the group, right? Obviously, in your actual doings, it's going to be both. I'm not talking about in your actual doings. I'm talking about in your heart. Are you, hey, I'm here for the one guy, or hey, I'm here to shepherd a group?
Well, the Black men are, you know, a group that can't be really shepherded, but I will look at it as the shepherd thing, right? You know, I would look at them as you know, as the guys that, you know, because I understand what African American men go. I'm one of them, so I know the problems that we have faced. And when I try to, you know, I don't have courses or anything like that. I don't have anything to really sell, you know, the brothers and like, it's not my t-shirts. So when I try to say something or get across to them, I'm coming from what I believe is to be genuine, you know, my own heart. When I think about, you know, Black men, I'm looking at us as a group because we have so many individuals out there. And I want to speak to that. When I come to Poland, and, you know, I was in Lviv, Ukraine, the first time in 2016, I saw these Turkish guys, and I saw how much they helped each other achieve certain things. And when I look back at my community of men, I just never really saw that a lot, especially in our age group. I said, wow, you know, we have so many guys that have so much talent, and we're arguing and fighting over, you know, little bitty stuff when we have so much opportunity. It's enough for everybody. You know, money is not so finite that we got to be finite, right? So I wanted brothers to understand that it's more if we help each other. Let me give you a good example of that. You know, look at Obsidian. Obsidian is a guy who wrote that book, the Book of Obsidian. And literally, Kevin Samuels shouted that book out. And that was something Obsidian, he was selling books, don't get me wrong. But that jump that he got, he would have not been able to achieve that without the help of Kevin Samuels. And we have all, and shout out to Kevin. Kevin has helped me, right? Kevin has really contributed to what we do. And I can never thank him for all that he has done. You just can't. You know, the guy is just, he's been so influential behind the scenes also. But the thing with African American men is to get them to understand we are a group. People look at us the same as you, the Kinganda channel about Nigerians and African Americans working together. Those other groups of people look at you as one group anyway. So we need to respect each other as much as we can as men and try to help us achieve teams. Because a lot of the guys that have helped me in this community, man, the Dougs, the moderators, the Media Tokers and Reviews, the Wooden Myers, I met some of the most amazing people. Phil from the Advice Show. We're not that cool now, but during the time I worked with him, man, he helped me out a lot. And men can help each other do great things. When you look at things that are built in communities, that is a responsibility of men. And if men don't help each other, what are we going to achieve? So that was my thing. Let's all help each other, and that's my message. And I think a lot of guys are starting to see that, hey, I need to be a part of the group to achieve things. And once you can do that, you'll be able to see a lot of problems that, in my opinion, I think that blacks complain about, insofar as racism and things like that. I think those things can be solved rather fast, because you can make people respect you or like you, but you can definitely make them respect you as an effort, as a group. I think a lot of black men, if they would realize that, we would be so much further. So I always try to implement that into my messages. Hey, when you see brothers in the street, talk to them. Try to help out other black men. And it not only just help out, don't just take from the table. Bring something. Bring your utility, as you would say. Bring your value. If you don't have value, go improve yourself and get value, and then bring it.
100%, 100%. Now, so we've talked about this bringing of the utility. You've talked a lot about how can I actually bring value, operate at a higher level, so on and so forth. We understand the roadblocks that are there, and I appreciate the fact that you always take, for example, you've had a conversation with me about right there from the beginning in terms of like what to do, and I've slowly implemented aspects of it, right? Whether it be the visuals and the audio visual stuff, like cool. I think I got a decent setup going there now. In terms of other bringing in help and having a machine in the system, that is also underway. Now, we've talked about obstacles to this. We've talked about how you were able to go about expanding even beyond what you would have thought as a child, right? Now, let's say somebody were to ask you, well, how do I get this done? Okay, O'Shea, in terms of what are some of the tips in terms of, because you said, okay, let's all help each other, right? But and bring something to the table. Some people are like, well, I don't have anything to bring to the table yet because I don't have the patience. I don't have the ability to bring real-time critical thinking to bear. Not because I don't have the brain cells, but we know that it's an emotional hang-up. The hang-up of stories. This is the way we've always done it. No one in your family has ever done that before, so on and so forth. How are you, and perhaps to people now who don't have your particular set of advantages, maybe, from a personality standpoint, what are some kind of tips you can give them as to, well, how can they actually in real time think, in real time look at the world as a place where action can be taken, they have agency, and they can change the outcomes based on the input they put in. And shout out to Bijou Noir. Thank you very much for this super chat. And go ahead, take it, O'Shea.
It's a very great question. What I would say is, for those people who, unfortunately, we have a lot of problems with, and I'm going to say this, and I know some guys will get upset about it, but unfortunately, we have some problems with guys in our community who blame problems on other people. That's one of the main things. And when you're in a group or in a community of people who are successful and you want to achieve what they have achieved, the number one thing that you have to realize is wherever you are at, it's because of you. I used to do that. My mom used to allow me to feel bad for myself and things like that. And then my father would tell me like, no, you just didn't try hard enough, and I'm thankful for that. And a lot of black men, we have to get away from the influences of people, especially women in our family, who will allow us to fail. And a lot of times women and sisters and girlfriends will allow you to fail with a mediocre effort. And the reality is that it's unacceptable. Okay. It's unacceptable. Men, if you fail and that you have the same ability to read, write, and understand, like anybody else does, many of you brothers have really good mind going. You're smart. Then you have to understand, before you can be a utility to somebody else, then you have to be accountable for your failures, and you have to address them, because people who are doing very well, talk to somebody who doesn't want to accept where they're at. You think you know everything and all that, and the reality is that none of us does. Okay, we don't. So if I'm a failure and I've been failing and having problems, then it's my problem. It's not Ike's problem. Okay, just like you don't want to deal with a woman that has problems with her daddy issues or whatever. I don't want to have Negro problems because you have dealt with that. I'm not dealing with that no more. And no successful person wants to deal with that. It's your fault. Okay.
Let me ask that you may reiterate and perhaps elucidate a particular point that you have mentioned that, okay, you may be surrounded by people, let's say they're women, and this is the way of showing social support. It's okay, so on and so forth. They kind of pacify things, but that men definitely don't do that. Okay. And then there's something else that I want to add to this. There's some people who think that there's a place that a level they should get to when they can relax. I want to ask you, I think I know your answer to it, but there is no end to the killing of your inner BAN, right? Every day you got to wake up and slap that bitch down in terms of the laziness, the comfort, the resistance, the procrastination, it's okay, the comparing with myself, like I'm doing well for my cohort, like I'm a 1%er in my 30s or some BS like that, right? And it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't freaking matter. Okay, you still got to get up and kick yourself in the butt. It's no one else's responsibility, regardless of what the blame is. And there is no kind of plateau where one is looking to and be like, they're going to be comfortable. That's not a man's world at all. Would you agree?
That's true. And unfortunately, when you come to a foreign country like Poland, you find out real quick that, when you're in Sacramento around people that they have sympathy for you. When you come to somebody else's country, they don't have any sympathy for you. So if the problems that you have follow you to where you're at now, then ultimately the problem is you. And that's something that I had to address real quick, was that if I'm having this problem, I did it. I'm having this issue. So I have to address my own flaws, because other Black men who are doing something, or other people in my community, they don't deserve engineering, or a brother like the lead attorney, or a brother. They've already have enough problems in their life. I'm pretty sure they don't need me bringing their problems to them. I need to bring my value to them, and my problems are for me to deal with. Okay. So that's the number one thing. Nobody wants to, hear about your problems. If you have problems, this goes to the psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever. But in terms of that, you need to have an understanding after you deal with whatever issues you have. What are you trying to achieve? Okay. Nobody can help you with trying to achieve something if you don't know what you want to do, because nobody has time to do that. And I think that what Black men have to understand, whoever's listening to this thing, is, these are what you want to do. You feel like you can do it. Are you willing to put in the work? Things are not always going to be easy. Like I said, I've worked every day since November the 16th. I have not had one day off. But the situation is that what I'm trying to do, I'm serious about what I'm trying to do, and I have a say. I'm where I'm supposed to be. Okay. And then once you're able to understand what you're supposed to do and what you want to do, then the skills that you need to do, can you show up every day to do what you're supposed to be doing? So I want to be a YouTuber, and then they try for 1 or 2 months. They could be really big, they could be good, but for whatever reason that they want to quit, or it's too hard, or they don't want to learn how to do certain things. Well, life is not like that, right? Life is about showing up every day. Whether I get 20 people to watch my videos, or 50 people to watch my videos, or 50,000, every day I'm going to show up with. I went to go see him preach, and it was only like 9 people there. And he had preached at St. Paul's Baptist Church with Dr. Ephraim Williams. He's now not the pastor anymore, but it was about 2,000. So it's different. I said, bro, you really preached? He said, I preach on Sunday, don't matter where. If it's 9 or 9,000, I always do my best. And that stuck with me. Yeah, stuck with me. The effort is there, right? And I try to put the effort where it needs to be, and I'm where I'm always supposed to be. I'm there. I'm where I'm supposed to be at. So if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not over there. I'm where I'm supposed to be. And once you can stick with that, then people will realize, you know, I would talk about Brother K Business Podcast. He doesn't have a big YouTube channel, but when I saw his channel, I said, man, this brother got a good channel. You know, this is a brother that got value. I can see that he might not have a whole lot of time, but I know he's in his life, in his real life, I know he's where he's supposed to be. I ain't never met the guy before, but I know he's where he's supposed to be. That's the kind of brother I need to be doing. With those things, deal with your own issues, focus on what you're trying to do, and then develop over time where you want to be, no matter how long it takes you. That's when you start attracting people towards you that you can partner with, that can help you with. But nobody's going to be dealing with nobody that's not serious.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm going to say this, and I'm going to give you the last word on this, and thank you very much for extending the time with us.
Yeah, sure.
And then maybe I'll spend a couple more minutes with the hooligans in the chat trying to address some of the questions. Well, but something that came up was this. Someone said something about, oh, why would you be in Poland? You know, some story, but let's say, you know, the white man's country or something like that. But this is this is the antithesis of what you're saying, which is get your competitive advantage. It's not about the story of, like, Mario doesn't say, oh, I don't like that rock, so I'm not going to jump on top of that rock in order to dodge the fireball, right? Because that's the white man's rock. It's like, no, I'm going to jump on that rock to dodge the fireball. And then I'm going to continue on my journey, whatever it may be. In other words, there is a view. I always put it this way. Look at the world as a place where the objects are movable, a place where it's a forum for action. You look at yourself as Mario. You do have a say in the matter. You can jump, you can swim, you can duck, you can shoot, whatever. You can get a star, which is like a good luck, right? Get that little star and just run through everybody, right? But you can't be all filled with stories. Okay, stories are important. Okay, stories, history, lineage, who did this and who. Important. The whole blame mechanics, important. But when it comes to actually doing stuff in the world, you can't be prejudiced against the rock if it's going to help you get to where you're trying to get to, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Then with that, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and it's been great. I think you brought a lot of value to the table today regarding, well, how do things work? Be there to see how they work. All that talk and all that feeling and all that kumbaya, all that group type stuff doesn't really work without value. And value is something that can be judged and must be judged by the marketplace. Not you just thinking, oh my God, it's a 10,000 bowl of chili. Take it to the chili market and have somebody pay $10,000 for it. Then it's $10,000 worth of chili. You can't just sit there and call it yourself. So let me give you the last word on this, and then we'll go ahead and start closing out this broadcast.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because, you know, I went to Uganda, you know, it's easy to be like, well, I'm an American, and you know, I should have things, you know, that American privilege. But, you know, you make a great point. You know, you never get done improving yourself. You know, every month on YouTube, it's a new month, and unfortunately, I can't live off what I did last month, right? I have to continue to be in the business. I have to continue to be where I'm at, and then if I want to be in somebody else's society as a foreigner, I need to do something from those people that they can't do for themselves, right? I need to be able to add value to a community to say, I deserve to be here. You know, whether it's in my community or somebody else's community, wherever community I'm going to be, I need to be offering value and bring something to the table. Not just my U.S. passport, not just the fact I'm a Black American, I deserve to be here, because nobody owes you anything. Life is about the problems that you can solve for people, or value that you can bring. What is your skills for that? That's it. That's all I'm dealing with. And I'm dealing with how to get a competitive advantage over something, an area, over people, over whoever else, a competitor, whatever. That's what I'm trying to do. At the same time, though, even though I work with the YouTube community, I have certain things that I have every day that, hey, this gives me an advantage in this area. And sometimes I can lend that to somebody, but I haven't. So I think of the world in this, you know, I've been living out of the States. When I come back, you know, eventually I'm grateful for what I do, but every day I'm out to prove myself, as if I don't have anything, as if people don't owe me anything. And I have that same fire every day. I really don't even do what I do for money anymore. I just don't. I mean, it's easy to say that, like, oh, I'm not really motivated by it. I made so much money on this YouTube thing, even guys now, if I want to have consultations, let's say, for example, because of Kevin Samuel's success, because Kevin Samuels really raised my stock up. Like, he put people on to me that would have never known about me. If I want to charge somebody $1,500 for an hour to talk to me about YouTube, they would pay it, And the thing about it is that I can't even really do that because I know they're gonna pay it. But it's all about the value that you have that you bring, and that's what I try to do every day, is be the best that I can be. And the last thing I tell people, I worry about being great. Every day, if we're doing the celebrity junk, if we're doing it, I'm worried about looking at giving a best effort. If it's a thumbnail, I'm looking at giving the best effort. If it's a title, I'm looking at being a best effort. If it's sound effects, I'm looking at it being the best effort. I'm always trying to go to the next level. If we're here, let's go there. It's never enough for me, and that's the kind of person I do things to be great. I'm trying to be great. I'm not, I mean, you can give me $sign about that. I don't deal with $signs anymore, because I'm not rich or anything, but I'm making enough money to be able to be like, okay, well, this is more money in these 2 months I've ever made, in 5 years. I have enough money now to say that. If my mom, I want to say, well, hey, here's $15,000, and there you go. It don't hurt me. Here's 20 grand, don't hurt me. But it's not about that. I want to kick ass. That's the only reason why I'm here to kick. I'm here to be good. I'm here to be great. That's all I care about. I want competitive advantages over you. That's all I care. I don't care about nothing else. That's it. And I want to just see how much I can extend that. That's all I'm here for. I'm not here for shit else. I think that when we understand about that, we worry about value to the community, value to society, value to each other as a group, extending our advantages over other people as a Black community. Then that's when we get everything else. But if you have no value, if you have no skills, if you have nothing to offer, then nobody respects people like that. That's just the reality of the world we live in.
Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Round of applause to O'Shea Duke Jackson, bringing it and holding it down. We are going to continue the conversation for a few minutes while O'Shea gets back to writing down the things he's got to buy on in terms of his stock portfolio and everything. But shout out, brother O'Shea. Hopefully, at some point in the future, we'll be able to come back and continue the conversation after much more success has been acquired and much more greatness has been attained. So, peace to you.
Thank you so much, brother. Peace out.
All right. Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to go ahead and, you know what, I'm just going to drop the link in the chat for anybody who might have a question that relates to the topic today before we go ahead and end this. And if there's no one, then we will go ahead and end it anyways. But as a way of recap, recently in the conversations we've been having, we've been talking about the obstacles to critical thinking. And this was a great example, a great case study in all the obstacles to critical thinking. Critical thinking and its obstacles really are not in the realm of, oh, I got to be able to solve a difficult math equation. No, it's in the realm of being prejudiced against a rock, right? Rather than picking up the rock and using it as a tool. It is the prejudice of, oh, that's not going to work anyways, because that's the voice you hear in your head. There's an emotional hang up to it. And we saw that this conversation did not involve O'Shea kind of inventing some kind of a new material, okay? It did not involve any kind of crazy theoretical physics for him to come up with the solutions of some crazy mathematical problem that's been daunting human beings forever. No, it was just, okay, what works? I go to Wode Maya, I see that he takes 2 extra cables, 2 extra cameras, he has 2 guys helping him with this, okay, I need to replicate that. I need to duplicate that. I need to get that going in my life, okay? And what stops him from doing that, or what would stop somebody from doing that, it's not the brain capacity to think that, okay, let me just copy that. It's the emotional baggage. It's the emotional hang-up. It's the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories that we have been handed down to us before we were even born, the stories about our family, the stories about the kinds of things our family do, and the types of things that you're supposed to be able to do out there in the world, the roadblocks that are in your way, so on and so forth, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that with each step, when it came from, for example, I am going to not just go to Africa, but immediately see the opportunities in order to get a competitive advantage in Africa. Immediately see that, oh my God, so Wode Maya has this particular group of people that do editing. Can I get one of them? Do they work freelance? Oh, no. Okay, I go to Upwork. He went to Upwork, for example, which is a place where you can find people to be able to work with. He went to Upwork. And what did he do? He found Dima in Russia. Dima does great editing work for him. So the idea, okay, is to take the action when you see how things work, and the compounding competitive advantage, which was something that he said, compounding competitive advantage, CCA, continues to build such that you're going to get to the point where it's going to look to others as though you invented something new, but simply you just had the discipline to follow through with action.